Original, original, bad man. And me get this song for them. Lego. Original bad man.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Ashley Empowers. I'm Ashley, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Dating with Purpose. Dating with Purpose is a series that we created to showcase and highlight couples who are pursuing healthy relationships and keeping God first in their marriages. I'm so excited to be interviewing Michael and Ashley Walter as they share their journey of how God brought them together. But before we hop into today's episode, I did want to let you know that the Worthy of the Wait Institute is still open. So if you are a single woman preparing for marriage and you really want to learn a new way of dating where you're preparing from a place of confidence, femininity, and faith, the Worthy of the Wait Institute is for you. So for a limited time, we are offering the program for 50% off, and I will leave a link in the description box below where you can get all the details. So without further ado, welcome Michael and Ashley. Welcome, you guys. I'm so happy to have you on today. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Doing great. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Yes. Okay, so Michael and Ashley, can you just tell people who you are and how you met?
Well, I'm Ashley, of course, and I am an elementary school teacher. I've been teaching for 5 years, and I am 27 years old, and we've been married for 3 years.
Yeah, we just celebrated June 3rd, 3 years.
Oh,
And
congratulations.
I'm Michael, and I am a musician. I'm a minister of music, and we actually met in college.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea I would meet my wife in college, but lo and behold, here she was.
So Ashley, I know a lot of women, when they go to college, they have this desire to meet their husband in college. Was that you?
That was me.
Okay.
But my mom, she would always say, like, make sure you look nice because you just never know. There might be a boy, that is eyeing you, So I always had an idea that I may meet my husband. So I did always make sure I was presentable.
Okay. So talk to us about how that encounter happened. Did you guys have the same class? Did you meet freshman year, senior year? What did that look like for y'all?
Well, my first year as a freshman, he was a sophomore, he's a year older, and we didn't see each other that whole entire year. Even though we were kind of in the same kind of interest, I was in band and he was
I'm a music
major. And I worked in the media lab in the music building, computer lab. And we never crossed paths, or maybe we didn't know it that first year, but my sophomore year, his junior year, I happened to be not working that day, but I just went up there because I had a class downstairs. I just went up and was typing a paper, working on a paper. And he walked in, and I tell people, like most strangers, like you're sitting here, there's a seat there and a seat there. Most people skip the seat because, it's like, let me create some space. But he sat right next to me, and I was like, okay, that was interesting. And so he's very conversational. He's very outgoing. And so he just started chatting with me and asking me who I was and where I was from. And, right off the bat, I knew that he loved God in that conversation.
So Michael, was that intentional that you wanted to sit right next to Ashley, or do you even remember your thoughts at that time?
You know what? Now looking back, I think because, like you said, I'm just naturally an outgoing person and love to just talk with people. I did notice that she was a pretty young lady, but I don't know if it was my intention to just sit right by her and just. It's almost like I wasn't really even thinking about it, to be honest. In that sense. So maybe some of it was intentional, but some of it was just like, hey, I'm just having conversation. But of course, I seen her, started talking to her, found out she loved the Lord and all this. I'm like, okay, this is great.
Yeah. So how long did you guys date before you got married?
We actually were friends for 1.5 years, no romantic interests.
Nothing.
Because I didn't like him. I didn't see him that way. I wasn't attracted to him right off the bat because you know, how all ladies have this list that we just hold on to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know, oh, that's not him. So luckily he stuck around, because I'm like, thank God he stuck around, because I probably would have said, well, you know, you don't like me, like, you know, deuces, but he didn't do that. He stuck around as a friend, and that's really what I needed at the time, was just a good friend. And that's kind of how he got in there.
Okay.
And then we dated for 3 years, about
before we got married.
3.5 years or so. Yeah.
So did you guys grow up in 2-parent households, or did you have healthy examples of what a healthy marriage looked like?
Yeah.
I grew up in a 2-parent household, and I actually did have a healthy example. Like I would see my mom and dad, you know, laugh and play with each other and everything like that. And it just was like, it was joy, you know, in our home, you know, for the most part. And of course, it was joy in church. I'm a church boy, so I literally, all I did was go to church. So.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I did grow up in a 2-parent home, and my parents, they were outstanding parents, but they did not have a great relationship. They're still married to this day, but they, I never saw them laugh together like his parents did. It was a lot of disagreements growing up. And, you know, what I took that and said, I don't want that. And so I was intentional about finding the opposite of that, you know, so it worked out for my good, because God said, okay, this is not what a good marriage looks like, you know. And It was interesting meeting his parents and seeing his parents interact. I just love being around them because I never saw that. And so it's cool to be around his family.
Yeah. And Michael, I love that you said you had joy in your house. Like that's such an amazing thing to say, and such a great compliment to, you know, your family and your parents' marriage. So what was a challenge that you guys faced transitioning from being single to actually being married? You guys have been in it for 3 years now. What's a challenge that you faced, and how have you overcame it?
Well, I'll say for me that finding the balance, you know, whenever you become a wife, you take on responsibilities, you know, and we talked about what my role would be, you know, we talked about those things, but, you know, I was in my first years of teaching, and that's already, you know, if anybody's a teacher, you know what I'm talking about, because that's already stressful. And then on top of that, you know, getting married, and then having to cook, make sure you go grocery shopping and cleaning. It's just like, it was a lot to balance at first. And so that was probably one of my challenges.
And I think for me, just adjusting to not being single, you know, anymore, like having to share, having to keep her in mind of what I'm doing, you know, quote unquote checking in, you know, like you can't think about yourself only. So I think for sure changing my mindset and really realizing, okay, you know what, I got her, this is my wife. So any decision that I make from here on out, I need to include her. I need to talk with her about it. I don't need to just make a rash decision, you know, and everything, because it doesn't just affect me, it affects her too. So I think that was definitely a transition.
Yeah. So let's talk about what your relationships look like before meeting one another. Were you guys dating? Did your relationships, were they purposeful? Or Michael, I know you said you grew up in church, but did you just have like a picture perfect dating experience, or how did that look for y'all? Keep it 100.
Oh, to live that fantasy, right? No, I don't really consider the relationships I had previously, of course, before Ashley, as like real dating relationship. But of course, like you said, I was a church boy, so I had, you know, the church girlfriends, you know, and everything like that. I had a couple, you know, and they weren't like toxic or nothing like that, but it just was, you know, I mean, you know, you're a teenager. It's like you don't really know what real love, you don't really know what you're doing or what, you know, what this is really about. But me meeting her, like she was the real deal. And I knew that, and I knew that after being in relationships, I was like, the next person that I date, I'm gonna marry, hands down. Like I just made that made that up in my mind. And so here we are today.
Okay, so you didn't have really any experiences that stood out. It was just kind of blah, and then you met Ashley, and you were like, okay, she's the one.
Yeah.
Ashley,
I did like, of course, females that are in church that could sing or that had nice, long hair. I'll be honest, and everything like that. So I did have a preference and everything like that. But like I said, it wasn't really just toxic. The relationships just didn't work out, and because they weren't the one, So I guess I was fortunate in that case.
Yeah. What about you, Ashley?
I kind of have a similar story. And because I kind of go back to my parents' relationship, because I didn't want one that way, I took relationships very seriously. I did have a couple of boys that I dated in high school, but it was never I did not invest my whole self in them because I knew that it wasn't serious. And so even Michael was my first kiss. Cause
okay.
Yeah, because one of the guys that I was dating, it was romantic. I mean, we were on the boardwalk and we were walking and stuff, and he was like, I was wondering, could I kiss you? I was like, and we had only been dating a few weeks. I was like, I'm not really ready for that right now. It's a little too serious for me. And after that, it was kind of went down. Because I was just
guarded.
I was very guarded, and I think that's one of the reasons why we were friends for so long, because I was not letting anybody in, and anybody that I seriously dated, it was going to take them some work,
So that's really interesting. Okay, so Michael was your first kiss. Were you guys abstinent until marriage?
We were. And I know that's a rarity all in itself in the culture today. We were definitely both virgins when we got married.
You were both virgins. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. Okay, so let's park here for a second. So you guys were both virgins when you got married. When you guys went through that year and a half of just being friends, did you know that about one another? Or did you talk about it when you started kind of romantically investing in the relationship?
I think the conversation came up at some point before we started dating. We would sit for hours and talk, just as friends, and we really built a great foundation.
She became my best friend, for real.
Okay. So what kind of conversations, how does that work? Okay. So, y'all are very rare. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious, as two virgins, you're dating, you get engaged. You guys are just okay, yeah, we're waiting for marriage. Was it easy because you've been doing it your whole life anyway?
I guess so.
Yeah, I'll say yes. But I will say that as we got closer,
as we got closer to the wedding,
it's like Jesus be our strength.
Because he actually moved down here before we got engaged. He got a job.
So we had a long distance relationship.
Okay.
So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
when I moved down here, the fire was turned up. It was okay.
Yeah.
All right, I
keep us till that day, Jesus.
Okay. And that's amazing. So you guys were able to maintain that. Well, kind of switching gears a little bit. So something that I discovered about you guys, just kind of following you on social media and checking out some of the things that you guys share, is that you guys are debt free. So Ashley, whose idea was it to pursue debt freedom, and why was that important to you guys?
It was actually Michael's idea. I actually didn't have any debt. I came into the relationship with no debt, and luckily, I was blessed. My parents were able to pay for our college and all of that. And so coming to the relationship, he had the debt, but I just took it on as, hey, that's just something that's part of you. Let's work on it. And he introduced me to Dave Ramsey, and he told me about the program, the Financial Peace University program, and I was like, hey, let's do it. I'm all for it. So we actually took it twice. We took it when we were engaged, and then we also took it when we got married, after we got married.
So how long did that take for you guys, and how much did you guys end up paying off?
32 months, and we paid a little over $57,000.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yes.
So, and that was, you said 32 months. You guys have been married.
Oh, it was about
3
2
years.
Mhm.
So yeah, we kind of
As soon
hit
as
it
you got
right.
married, you
Mhm.
hit the ground running. So
Right.
what do you guys do for fun? You know, you're on this debt-free journey, so a lot of your income is going to paying off your debt. What do you
Hmm.
guys do as a newlywed married couple?
Laugh, watch TV.
we
You know what I'm
were really
saying?
chill.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're really a laid back couple. You know,
Yeah.
we go get something good to eat. You know, we love it. We are foodies. We
Yeah.
Yes.
love to
So we
eat.
had to put that in the budget,
Right.
just enough
Okay.
money to go out to eat for that month. We
Yeah.
like to go eat, so
Movies.
movies.
You know, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
We do like to vacation
we
too,
do like to travel.
and so
Okay.
we did kind of make sure that we had finances to take at least one trip
Yeah,
a year.
and we
Awesome.
probably would have traveled this year, but thanks to Rona.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
speaking of that, how have you guys been keeping your peace during this time?
Look, we're not gonna
Prayer.
lie. Yeah, I mean, we get on each other's
Right.
nerves.
Hey, especially being quarantined. Hey, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we actually had a date night here at the house.
We did.
And I set up like a bowling alley, like with water bottles.
That's pretty cool.
And just to
Love
get
it.
creative.
And I won, so it was really great.
He did.
Okay. So creativity and prayer, y'all are getting through this. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your journey, and you guys really just seem like you're happy with one another. Did you have any expectations, unrealistic expectations going into marriage that now you see, okay, I'm married, that's not exactly what I expected, or has it kind of been what you expected?
Well, I'll just say for me that I guess my love language is physical touch, and so I'm just very lovey-dovey all the time, and I had to realize that it's not like that all the time. It just can't be. Like, if I could just hang on to him all day, I would just be in heaven. But you can't you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so confrontation is normal.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we learned is that nothing's wrong with your marriage just because you have a confrontation about something. That's normal, and that just means bringing conflict up to the front. And that actually makes you a stronger couple whenever you actually have disagreements, because it's like, okay, I didn't realize that you cared that much about that. Now I know, and we can move forward. So
Absolutely. And I think also one of the things that helped us too is we actually, not really intentionally at first, but we started going to marriage conference. We started going to the XO conference in Dallas, Gateway. And that was before we got married, while we were engaged. And so that really helped to help shape our minds and kind of prepare us for what, we'll be experiencing in marriage. But of course, the reality is, you don't really know what's really going to happen until when you actually get married. That's when it's like, oh, okay, it's real,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing that and sharing your journey. If people want to keep up with you, Michael, hear your music, or actually follow some of your inspirational videos, where can they find you guys?
I have a website, ashleymwalter.com. It's actually a blog, and I post something usually once a week. And I also have a devotional that I wrote this past year, or it was released in January. You can find it on that website as well.
Awesome.
And of course, you can follow me at D. Michael Walter. And I do have a single out, Your Love Is So Amazing. It's on all digital outlets, Amazon, Apple Music, and check that out. And hey, more to come.
He's got a website coming out soon.
Yes.
DMichaelWalter.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing. I will include those links in the description box below. And we just are believing the best for you guys in your marriage.